Additional aids and services are available to individuals with disabilities. To make such a request, please contact us by email, by clicking the Help tab in the PD portal, or at pdportal@tamu.edu, by phone, including Relay Texas at 1-800-441-7323, or in writing to Train PD, PD Portal Support, 4477 TAMU, College Station, Texas 77843. Both a transcript and accessible document of the content presented in this webinar can be found as resources in the course description. Click on the blue links under Course Resources in the description. When a link is clicked, a new browser window will open.
So welcome to this month's Teacher Tuesday, taking adult ed med videos to your classroom. Our presenters today are Ashley Winkle and Krista Mosher. I am Beth Ponder with Train PD at TCAL. I'm your host today, and my co-host is Amanda Sines. Thank you guys for being here. And with that, I am going to turn it over to our presenters, Ashley Winkle and Krista Mosher, if you guys would like to take it away.
Okay, so I am Krista Mosher. I am the manager of PD Field Services here at TCAL, and I just did the math, and I realized that this year I've been in adult ed for 30 years.
Wow.
Which just kind of blows me away. As a teacher for most of those years, and have been with TCAL for 6, so still going strong and loving adult ed.
I'm Ashley Winkle. I am the manager of the Distance Education Call Center at TCAL. I have not worked in adult ed for 30 years. I've only worked for adult ed for about 9. And TCAL, I'm going on my 2nd year already. So that went quite quickly. But previous to that, I was a teacher and a trainer and a distance learning lead and PD coordinator and whatever else I could possibly be, I think, at Literacy Council of Tyler before doing this. But today we are going to talk about the adult ed med videos and integrating those into classroom instruction. So last year we did a video project, and I'm going to give you details on that first, and then we're going to talk about integrating them into your instruction. But basically, we did this video project during the pandemic in 2020, and it was very stressful, and it was a really big project. But basically, just to give you some information. So the video project was, the vision was to help adult education students upskill their employability skills while helping them to achieve their educational goals via video lessons they could access at any time from anywhere. So I came into this, like it had already started. I came into it, after they'd been working on it for a while. And I came in fresh as a teacher who understood the significance of having adult education content in your videos. Because I don't know about you, but I can always find videos that I want to use for the content, but they're not always contextualized, or they're more focused on K through 12. Well, that's what we were doing with this project. So the first thing I'm going to show you is just a project overview clip. It's not very long. I think it's about 30 seconds long, just to kind of give you a little introduction to it.
Are you trying to find a job but realize you don't have all the skills to move forward? Do you struggle with learning English, math, or reading and language arts? Can you fill out a job application online? Do you know how to create a professional resume? You're not alone. Follow our learners as they focus their efforts on enhancing their skills in those areas. We may be able to help you too.
So there is our Just a little intro to our video project. But just to kind of give you an idea of what we did. So basically, we created 40 free adult ed contextualized video lessons. These are 40 short, free, on-demand English and Spanish contextualized video lessons that were created specifically for adult education. So these video lessons were created by Texas adult educators. So these were teachers and a lot of support behind those teachers for adult education teachers and students everywhere. So these are 100% free. There's 20 in English and 20 in Spanish. The video lessons, student stories, and teacher and student resources can all be found on the adultedmed.com website, which we'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit. So just to kind of give you an idea, and we are going to be looking at a couple examples here in just a little bit. There are a lot of ways that students can use these, and this is really up to you, because let me just explain before I get into this. So the video lessons are basically, obviously you can't cover an entire lesson in 15 to 20 minutes. But so what we did is we took the beginning through the guided practice of a lesson, and we basically used the 2.0 lesson plan. And we basically took I do, we do, you do, those sections, and we put them on the lessons. And then after that, we actually have the entire lesson plans that will be available to you as well. But you can use these in different ways. You could just use them for students. Specifically, students could use the video lessons to learn new content, maybe just improve or brush up on skills, review concepts they may have forgotten, independent practice, and access to study resources. So we haven't just given you guys the videos, but we also have supplied you with free resources as well. On the instructor integration side of things, you can use a video to teach the first sections of your lesson. So that's really what these were designed to do. That will cover your warm-up, your presentation, your modeling, and your guided practice. That's option one. And then you can take the lesson and continue it yourself. Another option might be, I like to use it as an example that I was a math teacher, but I wasn't very good at math. So I had to go to a lot of my resources like School Yourself or Khan Academy and go learn it first from them before I could teach it. That might be something you want to do as well. Just use the video to model the first part of the lesson, then utilize the lesson plan and teach the entire lesson yourself. That's up to you. It's your call. Or you can also use this for maybe a flipped or blended class where you have students watch the video from home and then finish the lesson during class. It can also supplement distance learning curriculum, so additional help for distance learning students struggling with a specific topic might be used as well. But this is supplemental. This does not count as proxy hours.
So now we're going to kind of talk about the integration of the videos into the lessons that you've already created for yourself, or if you're a brand new teacher, kind of discuss how we can use the videos in our lessons. So I'm just going to say that I am a reading teacher, and I heard about the Adult Ed Med videos. And so I went to the adultedmed.com and looked up the reading skill video lesson section on the website. And I found all of these different reading skills. So there were 7 of them. Drawing conclusion, main idea, scientific method, cause and effect, transition words, word meanings, and reading comprehension in the ESL section. So I decided that, looking at the ESL, there were some really good lessons there as well. So I chose, because of what I was going to be teaching in the next couple of months, to look at the scientific method and the reading comprehension in the ESL. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a couple of the videos, one from scientific method and one from reading comprehension. We're not going to watch all of it. We're going to watch about 3 minutes of each of them. So the first one is going to be the scientific method. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Karen, and I'm here to share with you the steps for the scientific method of investigation. We'll also take a look at how Andriana could use this scientific method in a future CNA job at Adult Ed Med. Now, although 24-year-old Andriana is a little timid about speaking English in large groups, she looks forward to working with patients and speaking with them one-on-one. She has the strong desire to work in the medical field, and she's confident that her English will continue to improve as she works at Adult Ed Med. As a CNA, Andriana will not only need to talk with patients and staff, but she will also have to use some investigative strategies as well. You may see today that you and Andriana already know a lot about the scientific method, and you probably use it almost every day. Stay with me for a few minutes and I'll show you what I mean. The GED or HiSET science test that you will take to get your high school equivalency will focus in part on the fundamentals of scientific reasoning and investigation. Knowing that this is information needed to pass the test makes it academically important. But is it possible that understanding the techniques of scientific investigation and the scientific method could be useful to you every day? I say yes, and in this lesson we'll see why. Today, we will take a look at how to rely on the scientific method of investigation and challenge some conclusions. We'll also consider how Andriana will need these skills in her future work as a CNA at Adult Ed Med. Maybe we should start by looking at a common situation. Have you ever lost your cell phone or your keys maybe? It's a frequent occurrence for me, and I'm thinking that you may have had some experience with this too. First, you make the observation that your keys appear to be lost. Next, you try to remember when you used them last, and that starts your research. Then you develop a hypothesis or a guess that the keys fell to the bottom of your book bag. Next, you experiment by looking through all the nooks and crannies of your book bag, which brings you to the next step, where you draw a conclusion that the keys are not in the book bag. That means you need to go back to the hypothesis and the experiment stages. You develop a new hypothesis, and this time you decide to look in your jeans pocket. This, of course, leads you to your next experiment of actually looking into your jeans pocket, finding your...
All right, so that was the scientific method of investigation, 3 minutes. And now we're going to go ahead and go into the reading comprehension one, which is an ESL session.
In today's lesson, we're going to learn some ways you can make reading and understanding articles easier for you. Let me introduce you to Fumi. Fumi is 39 years old and recently immigrated to the US with her husband. Her husband is a paramedic, and Fumi has always wanted to help people. She worked as a receptionist in her home country, but is very unsure of her English. She wants to find employment, but has had a difficult time understanding the information she finds. Fumi needs to work on improving her reading comprehension. But what exactly is reading comprehension? Reading comprehension is how much you understand of what you are reading. While that may sound simple, it requires you to learn skills and to practice them. Reading comprehension is an intentional and active process that occurs before, during, and after a person reads a particular piece of writing. And the more focused your attention, the more you'll understand. Fumi has done some searching on the internet and found that a new hospital is opening nearby and looking to hire. Searching through the job postings, she finds one that might be right for her, medical receptionist. She wants to find more information about medical receptionists to see if she should apply. When you read an article or selection of text, you can make the most of it by using before, during, and after reading comprehension strategies to help you understand what you are reading. Before you begin, you want to know your purpose for reading and start by scanning the text. During reading, You'll be checking to see if you're understanding the material. And finally, after you read, you'll summarize the text and revisit your purpose for reading and reflect on what you read. Let's begin with pre-reading strategies. You, the reader, should think of a purpose or a reason for why you are reading, and be on the lookout for that information in the articles you choose. Setting a purpose for reading also helps you activate what you already know about the topic. This will help you better understand the text and provide reasons for choosing one article over another. Think about Fumi's purpose. What is she looking for, and why is it important? Well, we know she wants to find a job and that there's an opening for medical receptionists nearby. She also needs to know what is required before she applies to see if she's qualified for the job. These are called prerequisites, and Fumi is going to need to make sure she meets them. Thinking about her purpose can help her narrow her search and give her a better idea of what to look for. Scanning the text.
All right, we will stop there. And remember, all of these are contextualized lessons and based on the Adult Ed Medical Center, but different students are all following different career paths and using these lessons and information to go further. Now, also remember that all of the people, all of the instructors that are teaching are adult ed instructors from Texas. So you may recognize some coworkers and such in here. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the learning resource lesson resources. And this is, I'm going to take us right into the website. All right, so when you go into the website, you can see the Adult Ed Med contextualized video lessons and resources. And there's two parts to this. This is looking for a better job. Take a look around by clicking on a subject. So you can see where I clicked on for the reading language arts or the ESL. We have workforce technology and math. Or you can follow our students. And these are also all adult ed students from the Irving, Dallas area. So you can, they have their little pre-stories right there, and you can follow along with their stories as they go through the videos. So I'm going to click on Reading Language Arts. And when I get to that page, you can see that every lesson has two videos, English and Spanish. There's a student resource, a teacher resource, and possibly citations. So, but you can see, and every lesson has those four resources: English, Spanish, student, and teacher. So I'm going to look into the scientific method of investigation. If I want the video, I just click on the video and there it is. We're not going to do it. We're going to look at the student resource. So if you have a student that needs some help with reading comprehension or needs some scientific method resources, here's a Wakelet where they can click on all these different things and it takes them to more sources and more places for them to get the information, plus also another straight link to the videos. Then the teacher resource. And this is what I'm really excited about, is because as part of the teacher resources, you have the lesson plan that we use to do the video with. There is the PowerPoints for those, for the videos. Also, those other resources, the same ones that the students were given. So you have the same thing, but you have the lesson plans and the PowerPoint. So I'm going to open up the scientific method lesson plan. And as Ashley said, it is in the standards 2.0 format. So you have your target student audience, you have the literacy or AEL content standards, what skills, the connection to occupational content, because remember, this is all contextualized, what skills are being taught in the lesson, And then you just take it through. What are the essential questions, your objective, and then we get into the actual lesson plan, the materials needed, then warm-up review, introduction, presentation, modeling, guided practice, independent practice, assessment. And you can see that there's links right straight to independent practice. So if you as a teacher want to do the scientific method, you can go here and just copy this lesson, and you have pretty much anything and everything that you need to teach this lesson, plus the video to go along with it. So let me go back, and I want to go to reading comprehension, which is in the ESL section. So again, with the ESL, we have bilingual and English, and I'll let Ashley talk about the bilingual in just a minute. But you can see that there's still the same student resources and teacher resources. And if I go into the reading comprehension teacher resource, again, there's the lesson plan, the PowerPoint, and the videos. So I go into the lesson plan, and here it is for the reading comprehension, using the video, your introduction presentation, modeling, I do, we do, you do, and your assessment. So you can see that the Adult Ed Med website is a huge resource, and for teachers and for students to use. Okay.
Can we talk about a couple of things before you go back?
Yes.
I would like you to show in just a second, at least maybe Fernando's video.
Okay.
Actually, any of them. So just a couple of things I just want to point out. First, I want to talk about, so our grant stipulated that we had to have 20 in English and 20 in Spanish. So you will notice on most of them, we have a Spanish option and an English option. But what we had a problem with was we realized it's a little weird, and I think probably not a good practice to teach an ESL lesson in Spanish. And after talking to a lot of ESL teachers, they agreed with me. And I think Liz is actually on here today. She actually helped me figure out what to do to fix that problem. So you'll notice on the ESL lessons, you have a bilingual option, not a Spanish option. And basically what that's going to do is it's kind of combining English and Spanish. So especially on things that are a little bit more confusing, you know, that something that might be confusing, you know, in English for somebody who speaks Spanish, that's what we ended up doing. So they're a little bit longer and they kind of supplement the English version of it. That's one thing. The other thing is these are all real students. Their stories are a little manipulated because we created the stories first, but their stories that they talk about and their answers on these videos are real. These are real students. We even have a few success stories with these students, but you know, they are adult ed students, and you all know what happens with adult ed students. They don't always stick around. So we did lose a couple and had to replace a couple. So that got a little confusing, but each one of these does have a backstory, and each one of them has a different role with this concept of they're trying to either get a job at Adult Ed Med, or they're wanting to, you know, it might be in construction for the hospital that's being built. It might be in the warehouse. It might be, you know, as a receptionist clerk or a CNA. But I've found that of these, the ones that people are really finding useful are the work and technology ones, which are very specific to writing a resume, using apps online safely, writing a cover letter, and writing an email, things like that. Those are the ones that seem to have gotten quite a bit of attention because, to be honest with you, those are things I have struggled with myself, and I find these videos to be helpful. Hold on, Tiffany, love that you made it so simple for teachers to find lesson plans, PowerPoints, and resources. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because that was not going to be a part of what we were going to do in the beginning. We ended up adding that at the end because we had already made these slide decks, you know, for the videos to help them make sense, but we decided to go ahead and make them all accessible and share them with the teachers so that they could use it. Because I don't know about anybody else, but as a teacher, I have spent countless hours making my technology and my technology tools So why reinvent the wheel? And if you don't like something, you can go ahead and make a copy of it, you know, and make it the way you want to make it.
Right.
So I wanted freedom there. I'm a big believer in sharing and having the ability to make it your own. I don't like to just take somebody else's lesson plan and do it exactly the same. So I think that we should have that freedom. And will you add more videos and resources for our lessons that are not listed on the website and branch out? I hope so. It all depends on funding and grants and how popular we are. I think we hit about 1,000 hits on this. We've got this nationwide now. So it is all over the place. So the more people that use it, the more likely we can branch out, because I absolutely want to do that. I would really like to have more math content. Okay, I just had to throw that in. It was hard for me to keep my mouth shut.
And I'm just going to show the math real quick because I showed everything else. There's only 3 math videos, but you have functions and geometry and understanding rational numbers. So I just needed to throw that in there because that's what I like.
Couple of the student videos, or at least 1 or 2. A lot of people really like these because just to preface this, we did this for a Tech Intel recently. And something I hadn't even thought about, or a lot of teachers want to use these student videos for orientation, for motivation and things like that. So we didn't even think of that when we were making these. So that was kind of an added bonus. All right, I'll stop talking now.
Do you want Fernando or
Yeah, go ahead and do Fernando and maybe Isaiah.
I'm turning 40 this year. My kid, he's turning 16 in March. I work in a warehouse. I'm a forklift driver. I work like 50 to 55 hours a week. With high school, when I was in 11th grade, and I was like, through all these years, I've been kind of pushing myself to get my GED, you know. And I'm a single dad, and I wanna be like an inspiration to my son, you know. That's one of the reasons I'm doing it. I hope in the future I can get better in my English and maybe continue studying, you know. For now, I want to get my GED and learn more English, maybe learn a third language. The challenge I have is work. I'm the only one supporting, you know, the house, the apartment, and time. That's my only problem, you know. My favorite resources is books, audiobooks, and YouTube videos. I want to prove myself I can do it, you know. It's hard, you know, work, and when I came to my apartment and I need to cook for me and my son and all that, and you know, I try to have the goodwill to continue doing this, you know. I want to do it. I think I'm learning better with a teacher of a groups. One of the reasons is my limitation in my English, and I'm more like a visual person, you know. I like to have contact, you know. And I try kind of online, but it works for me, but not really. So I prefer like be with a teacher and in groups. I have some people who they're being very supportive with me, especially my son. I have friends, family, yeah, and some coworkers, you know. They're supporting me to come to class. I like science. I like reading. I like to transform things, you know, like sculptures, and I kind of customize it. I do my own way to do things, and I like to visit museums and feel inspired. I'm very into art. I like philosophy, I like psychology, and I always like to learn. I'm like in love with knowledge. Never too late. Don't quit school. Don't never give up, and never is too late. Like I say, education is power, knowledge is power. Me voy a superar.
So I'm going to stop my video and let Ashley have it.
All right, so I think we just dropped the Padlet into the chat. So if you go to the Padlet, what you're going to do is pick at least one. We've got, you know, we're going to spend about 10 minutes or so on this. Pick at least one video and share it with us. So share what video lesson you chose. You can choose any on the website. We might want to drop that in the chat again if we haven't already. Pick any from the website. Take your time, you know, to look at it, see what resources are available for teachers and add it onto the Padlet, what resources are available for students, and how you see the video lesson being used at your program or in your class.
So what Irene has said is, I've shared this with my teachers a couple of times. They are good resources. Teachers just need to be guided more for them to use these. And Irene, that's one of the purposes of Ashley and I doing this presentation is to kind of get into the resources and how to use them and where to use them. I don't think a lot of them realize that the lesson plans are right in there. Our program will be incorporating some of the videos on resume, et cetera, into our workforce readiness certification.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely do agree with you, Irene. I think it's just like everything else that we introduce to our teachers, that it's really cool to see it, but if we don't know how to use it hands-on, it's a little bit more challenging. And hopefully we'll be able to expand this in the future. That's what I'm really hoping for too.
So maybe I'm having a little struggle. I know I came in a little later.
That's
I'm
okay.
on there, but how do I get to the resources or the lessons that that you all create or that's already in there?
We'll show you. How's that? You wanna
There
show
we
it?
go. Appreciate it.
All right, so Jamal, what you do is when you're going from the home screen,
Not just me.
you can either go by subject or by students. So let's say you are interested in the workforce technology lessons, you just click on that and that opens another page, and each of the topics are right above the resources. So how to fill out a job application. You have the English and Spanish videos, student resources, and teacher resources. If you click into the teacher resources or the student resources, it takes you to a Wakelet.
Okay, so I'm in a Wakelet right now,
Okay.
but so I see teacher resources. Is that what I click on under the Wakelet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like verbal instructions, teacher resources, I click on that
Yes.
if I want resources from there.
Yes.
Okay.
It's what do they call it? A bread trail, breadcrumbs.
No, I see. I
rolling.
just wanted to make sure. I'm
Yep.
like, okay. No,
Yeah,
I think I was in the right place.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Ashley, did you want to talk about any of the things you saw on the Padlet?
No, I'm just really happy that everybody is seeing what we're offering. One of my favorite parts about this is, I mean, the website's very, very simple, obviously, which we did that for a reason. I'm sure you can understand why. And I like that it's easy to remember. So Adult Ed Med, all you have to do is type it in if you forget about it. Otherwise, we can, yes, Amanda, you can hold on to this Padlet for other ideas. We may continue using this Padlet for other presentations to kind of have a collection going on. Not really sure yet, but yes, you can definitely refer back to it later. We just really, really please share, if you're a social media person, that'd be great if you could share just to let people know this is available. It is free. It is 100% free. And there's not a lot of stuff out there that is. Please share. I appreciate everybody joining us today. And if you have any other ideas, please always, I'm always willing to listen.
We hope you enjoyed this pre-recorded webinar. After you have passed the final test with a score of 80% or greater and have received your certificate of completion, please take a few moments to complete the course evaluation. Participant feedback helps Train PD at TCAL continue to provide high-quality professional development. To leave a course feedback, please go to the completed portion of your transcript. To do this, hover over the My Learning tab and select View Your Transcript. Click on the drop-down arrow next to the word Active and select Completed. Then, click Evaluate in the drop-down menu next to the course you just completed. Please note that your feedback is greatly appreciated.